Whole life insurance is one of the most powerful assets on the face of the earth. If you follow me and you understand the content that I make, I've written this book, Cashflow Hacking. I've got a revised version that's a much more enhanced, in-depth version coming out in January. Really excited about that. But here's the deal. Whole life insurance, when it's utilized as a cornerstone foundational asset in your life, enables you to be a better cash flow investor. And if you understand that the old model of buying and holding assets and accumulating and trying to hold through all the ups and downs of the markets is just ultimately not going to get you where you want to go on a predictable basis, you start to realize investing for cash flow is the key to your success. It puts you in the driver's seat of the results in your financial life, which I think is key to anybody's success. The only way to do this in the maximum, most optimized way is by utilizing a whole life insurance policy as your storage tank for your safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed capital, right? And that is what we're going to talk about in this video. Ultimately, the steps you need to take, no matter where you are on the journey right now, as I go through this, you're going to see that there's a 7-step process to reach freedom and make the impact in this world that you probably want to make. I'm going to talk about that in this video. So if you haven't, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I launch a new video, because on top of this video, I got a lot more content coming out like this. We're going to be talking about a lot of this as we get into the new year, and I'm excited. So let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow Hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and you know what? I've been working on my new book, and in this, I write about this 7-step process to financial freedom. I think this is a framework that is really simple, and I think everybody can follow it. I think it's just absolutely an essential process. I guarantee you that if you are somebody who is trying to achieve faster results and you kind of don't want to be on the hamster wheel of buying and holding or investing and holding assets and waiting 30 to 40 years, hoping that maybe at the end of that rainbow, at the end of that journey, you're going to be where you want to be. Ultimately, I write about it in my book, talking about the fact that how can we plan 30 to 40 years out when the most important variables that go into what would be required for us to be successful utilizing any strategy is just unknown. There are too many elements that are out of our control that we don't know. We don't know what the inflation risks are. We don't know what the economy looks like. We don't know what the political risks look like. We don't know ultimately what the market cycles look like and the timing of all that. And so it's really hard to plan on being successful financially with a traditional investment strategy. And I'm a big believer that this is one of the reasons that 95% of the people in this world are not on pace to maintain their standard of living when they retire. And so in this video, what we're going to cover is 7 steps to become a cash flow investor and ultimately be able to reach financial freedom in the next 10 years or so. Now, I know that sounds like a bold statement, but I promise you could do this with predictability. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying it's simple. And if you follow this framework and you follow this process, I think what you're going to discover is you are somewhere in this journey, right? In one of these steps, and you can kind of continue from wherever you are. But excuse me, let's get into this. If I cough a little bit, it's because I'm recovering from pneumonia right now, so bear with me. So anyway, let's get into this. So first things first, I want to go to the board here. I want to share this board, and I want to just talk about this real quick. So as we go through this, number one is you just need to have clarity about what your goals and objectives are. What do I mean by that? I love these one-liners, right? Like anything measured improves. I'm a big believer that that's the case. And the thing is if we don't know where we want to go, if we don't know what our end destination is, and from a goals perspective, how do we know the metrics that we need to measure and follow to be able to reach success? We don't, right? So if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a goal or an end destination that you want to reach, then any road will get you there. And ultimately, that's, I think, why most people are failing. They don't understand, they don't have clarity about what they need to do to be successful. They don't have clarity about what success looks like for them. I don't care if you're looking at, following the traditional methodology and retiring at 65. I've been doing a lot of videos on this lately about how much money do you need to be able to retire successfully. Most people have no clue. Most people don't understand doing what I'm currently doing. What rate of return do my investments need to make for me to be able to maintain, retire when I want to retire and maintain my standard of living on a guaranteed basis for the rest of my life. I don't know about you, but for me, that's an important question for most people to know and understand, to be able to know, like, is what I'm doing going to accomplish the result that I'm after? And if you don't think about that, then you're just basically setting yourself up for failure. So I'm a big believer, and it's why I kind of started really hammering the fact that you are where you are in life because of who you are in life. And like that's not a judgment thing. That's not like a personal assault, as far as that goes. What I'm saying is, you may be a great person, you may be a great parent, a great spouse to somebody, and whatever, but when it comes to your money, the results that you're getting in your life are because of who you are in life and how you show up with your money, and the diligence that you put into creating these plans for yourself. And having clarity is the foundational framework, because if you don't know where you want to go, if you don't know what that end destination is, then it's impossible for you to reverse engineer a plan to get there. It's impossible for you to measure year in, year out, month in, month out, is what I'm doing getting me closer to my desired objective? And so step number one is making sure that you have complete clarity around what your goals and objectives are. Now, step number two is increasing your financial efficiency. Now, what does that mean? Financial efficiency is simply making sure that you're maximizing the use of every single dollar that flows through your life. This is one of those things that a lot of people misinterpret. They think that just getting out of debt, being debt-free is everything. No, that's not the case at all. A lot of times, debt can be an amazing thing. Now, you want to eliminate consumer debt. You want to eliminate credit card debt. You want to make sure that you're, at the same time, I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth right now, right? Like, so yes, we want to eliminate credit card debt, for instance, but I'm not saying eliminate the use of credit cards, right? Because credit cards are actually a way that you can increase your financial efficiency. You can increase your financial efficiency with credit cards in a couple ways. A, you get bonuses, points that you can leverage. You get cash back. If you use a credit card that gives you 4% cash back and you run $5,000 of monthly expenses through that, that you're talking about 4% cash back, that's $200 a month cash back for doing nothing. Just pay that off. There's no interest expense. It is what it is. On top of that, as you do that, you build up your credit limit. You can get credit increases. And so what happens also is it shows that you have the ability and you manage your credit well, which increases your credit score, which then gets you better rates on loans, increasing your financial efficiency in other areas of your life. And so it's just this compounding effect. Now, this takes time to be impacted in your life. But when I say increase your financial efficiency, I'm not just talking about getting out of debt. Yeah, that's part of it. But I'm talking about making sure that you're maximizing the use of every single dollar, that you're getting each dollar to go as far for you, to work as hard for you as it can. Now, that includes making sure that you have your structure properly. That includes that you're saving. That includes the cash back on credit cards. It includes your credit score. It includes all this different stuff. But I obviously don't have time to get into every element of increasing financial efficiency in this video. That is a whole almost course in and of itself. But at the end of the day, number two is where the rubber hits the road. It is what you need to do to kind of build the foundation. It is like almost the excavation work that goes into pouring the foundation when you build a house. You got to make sure you dig that, have the excavation going, you dig it right. Then you got to pour the foundation right. And so that leads us to number three, which is, all right, if we dug the groundwork and we have the excavation going with number two, with increasing your financial efficiency, and that work is digging the excavation. Well, number three, saving money and building your foundation, is actually pouring the concrete, right? It's building that foundation, making sure that everything is where you want it to be. And making sure that you are actually doing things in the right order, making sure you're setting up your financial structure in a way that opens up opportunity, that allows you to behave like an actual investor. I'm a big believer you got to slow down to go fast when it comes to your money. When we talk about reaching financial freedom in the next decade, a lot of times that's a challenge because it takes 3 years sometimes just to save money and to get the amount of money, liquid, accessible, guaranteed money that you have, get that money saved in a place before you even start investing. But this is the compound effect. When you do it that way and you start investing, now you've saved up enough money, even if it takes you 3 to 4 years to get to that point in time. what you're going to be able to accomplish because of the fact that you're investing for cash flow, which gets to number 4 right here, invest in cash flow assets, right? So let's just pop that up so you can see it. Investing in cash flow assets, right? So when you invest in cash flow assets, now all of a sudden, if I know I got to get to $5,000 a month in cash flow or $10,000 a month in cash flow before I am financially free, well, I go, okay, if I invest in a cash flow asset year 1 and it kicks out $500 a month in cash flow, all right, well, what does that mean? All right, that's $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. Well, if I need to get to $10,000 a month in cash flow to be free, well, what do? Well, that gets me to number 5, which is compounding that cash flow. Now, as that cash flow comes in, I'm going to increase my savings that I am already saving with my active income. Because remember, if I'm saving money in number 3, I'm always going to be saving money, and I'm going to be saving with the intent of investing. That gets me to number 4. I'm going to invest in cash flow assets. I'm going to compound that cash flow in number 5, and I'm going to add that on top of the money that I'm saving, and that's going to allow me to buy my next cash flow asset much quicker. So what you could see here is step 1 through 5, you just repeat that cycle. You rinse and repeat constantly. And once you do, you reach your financial goals and you reach your freedom number much, much faster. People way overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And what I will say to this is that when you compound your cash flow, you in the next 6 years, even if it took you 4 years to get your first cash flow asset, you can be completely financially free in the next 6 years if you just allow that cash flow to compound on itself. This is why I love this. It doesn't make any sense for you to run the rat race and go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k. Not that there's anything intrinsically wrong with that, but the mindset of just giving your money into the hands and control of a money manager or advisor, putting it and holding it in a 401k, hoping that 40 years from now, 30 years from now, 25 years from now, it's going to be, where you need it to be without all the market cycles and all the things I talked about earlier. It's kind of nuts, and it's very much broken thinking in my opinion. And this is a way that you can get where you want to go. And ultimately, you reach your freedom number, and that is ultimately when you have enough passive income to be able to replace your active income from your job, right? And when you do that, it's beautiful. You're financially free. How you show up in the world is really up to you. You get to decide what your life looks like. Imagine what it would look like if you had your active income with your job and then you had an equal amount of passive income coming in and you were work optional. How much different? You probably would like your job a lot more knowing that you didn't need to go into it. I think a lot of you guys would probably quit your job altogether and go a different route. But here's the deal. There's step 7 is reach your impact number. And this is what I encourage everybody to think about, because it's not just about you and your life. It's about taking and making the next generation better, leaving more than you were, than you came into this world with, leaving the next generation better off. That doesn't just mean leaving them money. One of the things that I love this, the title of this video is utilizing whole life insurance to invest for cash flow, right? When we talk about step number 3 and we talk about saving money, if you agree and you believe that right here, step 3, you agree that saving money is a core foundational thing that you need to do. If you know that that's the case, then the next question becomes, all right, if I know I need to save money, the question is, where do I save that money, right? There's things like savings accounts, bonds, CDs, stuff of that nature, right? The challenge is it's always a give and a take, typically with safe liquid assets, right? You either have great liquidity, like a savings and checking account, but the returns are not very good at all. And so that becomes a challenge. You lose money to inflation, you lose purchasing power, because let's face it, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it matters the purchasing power, what that money can buy you. And inflation just erodes the value of our money. We're experiencing that right now as inflation has kind of hovered between 7 and 9.5% over the past year. And that impact is significant on families around the country. And so that's something to consider now. So the question is, where do you save that money? And what I'm going to tell you is a properly designed whole life insurance policy is the only product in the world that will get you long-term bond-like returns, but liquidity similar to a savings account. And when you look at it from that perspective, when you start to understand, like, all right, if you agree with the idea that I need to save money and build my financial foundation, then starting by saving money inside of a whole life insurance policy is a great way to go. Now, there's also a lot of differing opinions on this, like, all right, why would I save money in a whole life policy and not a savings account? Well, first of all, discipline is a challenge. I'm a big believer you need to stretch yourself a little bit. You need to pick a strategy that forces you to save. Most people, unfortunately, because of human behavior and psychology, we don't save enough unless we're forced to. That's one of the beautiful things about 401ks, even though I don't like them. The fact that you have automatic deductions coming out of your account and whatnot is a beautiful thing, right? Having a premium payment for a whole life policy that forces you, that can be an automatic withdrawal. It's like a forced savings plan. Now, I do want to throw out the caveat to this that you don't want to stretch yourself too much. You want to pick a number that you're comfortable with, right? You don't want to like go right to the level and the max that you feel like you're tapping out at. And so there is that happy medium that only you can work with a coach and figure out what that number is for you in your life. But it absolutely exists, right? You know, if you're making $10,000 a month, 120 grand a year or something like that, then you might want to look at it and say, all right, I'm going to save 15 to 20% of my money, and I know I can afford to do that. And if you can't afford to do that, I would really encourage you to take a look at your financial efficiency and think to yourself, like, are you really where you need to be? And if you can't save 15 to 20% of your income, my guess is you're not where you need to be from a financial efficiency perspective. If you make 60 grand a year, that's you take a look at that and you go, all right, what does that look like? 60 grand a year is 5 grand a month. If you can't save 20% of that, 15 to 20% of that, 10 to 20% of that at minimum per month, then you once again need to look at the financial efficiency and figure that out. I can't stress enough that there's not much more important than you getting your money right in your life, you achieving the results that you want in your financial life. One of the things that really drives me in what I do, and one of the things that I'm going into 2023 with personally right now, is to try to help people through this. I know a lot of people make New Year's resolutions around money, and they make, I'm gonna get out of debt and I'm gonna do all this stuff. Well, I encourage you to make your New Year's resolution not about getting out of debt, not about any of that, but really growing in your understanding and relationship with money. And I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo-y, but what I mean by that is you understanding, growing and understanding how to leverage and how to execute with your money better, how to set up a financial structure better, how to become a better cash flow investor, because it's going to take you being active, investing for active cash flow on the side, most likely, until you can get into passive cash flowing assets, right? And so the beautiful part with that, when you start little, you get to grow and adapt and become who you need to be and go through that journey and that experience. And it really is an amazing, amazing thing. Now, once you hit number 6 and you reach freedom, here's the thing. You can stop, or you can kind of continue down the path, let it go for a little while longer, let it compound for another year or two. And it's amazing, instead of 10 years, maybe you go 12 years or 13 years and you reach an impact number. And then 13 years out, imagine if 13 years from now you could do all this and that you could be completely financially free, the rest of your life was taken care of, but on top of that, you knew that you had the next generation and probably the generation after that already taken care of. Now, I'm not just talking about financially free. I'm talking about, because when you understand this and you follow this and you build the principles and you grow and you become who you need to be to get to where you want to go, this experience, you're going to grow and you're going to pass this on. You're going to teach the same principles to your kids and to your grandkids and to other people in your community. And this is why a lot of people join us and become financial coaches and want to represent this, because they want to serve people in this way. They want to take what they've learned and pass it on, because when you learn this and you go through this experience, I'm telling you, the passion that you get for sharing this, and when you execute it and you see the results that you have in your own life in doing this, you can't help but want to kind of pay it forward and share this with other people. And so that's that. This is how you utilize whole life insurance to be able to invest better for cash flow. Because here's the deal, and I've got other videos that go deeper into this on how to leverage it and so on and so forth, but it all comes down to number 3 here. If you know you need to save money and you know you need to build your foundation, and you understand if this framework of how to go through and get clarity, increase efficiency, invest for cash flow, do all these different things to reach your financial freedom. If that process resonates with you, if it makes sense, I can tell you right now, subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already to this channel, because I've got a lot of other videos coming out that are going to be sharing exactly how to utilize a whole life insurance policy when you utilize it for your safe money. I'm going to show you how to utilize that to get to where you want to go, and how to make every other asset and every other investment that you make more efficient. Once again, it all comes down to financial efficiency because of the fact that you utilized a whole life policy as your savings vehicle. So that's it. If you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell, and next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.